And that's why China and Russia are collaborating on building a base, because they see it as a way of deepening their military connections on Earth, but at the same time, China using old Soviet expertise on space travel. So it's really quite interesting and quite sinister.
Who's involved in the space race, first of all?
Well, there are loads of challenges because it's not just two big superpowers anymore. It's a whole clutch of people who can actually go into space, and companies as well. So you've got, in this week alone, we had a Russian attempt to land on the moon go wrong, and tomorrow we've got India due to land on the moon. America's coming later. Japan was earlier. It also had a crash earlier this year. And the point is not just to put boots on the ground, as Neil Armstrong did, but basically to establish whether there's water there. Because if you've got water, as to say in the big ice mountains in the south pole of the moon, then you can build a base. And you can use the moon as a base for exploring beyond the moon. This is why, for example, Elon Musk is really interested, because he's interested in Mars. So you use the moon as a pit stop. But first you've got to be able to land in the South Pole. It's very mountainous, rocky, a lot of craters, difficult. The Russian attempt, well, frankly, Putin was planning it, for almost 18 years, yeah. And so people say, oh, well, it was an attempt to divert attention away from Ukraine, the conquest of Ukraine, no, look over here, we're conquering the moon kind of thing. Yeah. But actually, it's been a long time in the planning and it went wrong. And so there are interesting questions that arise from why it went wrong.
I'm going to go against all my natural instinct here and discuss the introduction of bureaucracy. Because who is in charge of making sure we don't mess up the moon and that we approach this in some sort of collaborative, collegiate way?
Well, we have a moon treaty, which was signed in 1979, and that bans military use of the moon. It bans ownership, private ownership of the moon. But, once you're on the moon, there's no one to police it. Yeah. You can do what you want. So I think that's why there's a scramble at the moment to get a base. Because once you've established a base, you build your own kind of commercial zone around it. That's certainly why Musk would like to get in on these kind of things. And that's why China and Russia are collaborating on building a base, because they see it as a way of deepening their military connections on Earth, but at the same time, China using old Soviet expertise on space travel. So it's really quite interesting and quite sinister. The Moon Treaty doesn't stand up to much. You could, I suppose, put defensive weapons around your little zone and claim that it's an attempt to establish peace on the moon. And, what are you going to do about it,
well, yeah. And I suppose crucially, if you're the only ones who can actually get there, actually who are you defending against? And, if you're the front runner, you're the leader and you get there.
Well, we're assuming several people will be there eventually. And different science fiction writers have been here before and have suggested a lunar space agency. But then what? It'll end up just like the United Nations.
Exactly. Yeah, that was my thought. Yeah. Roger, it's really, really fascinating. Look forward to reading the full article. Thank you very much.
Thank you too.